All right, now let's talk about the Syncopation book. Ted Reed's Syncopation, one of the Bibles of modern drumming. Let's talk about how we can use it to get exercises together that get us around the kit. You could say these are fill exercises. We will be using them as fill exercises shortly, but at first, I just want you to think of them as exercises that get you moving around the kit. Why is it important to move around the kit? Well, because we need to get in shape so that when we do it, it's efficient and it's fluid and it's relaxed and it feels natural. And we have that sensation of where it fits in rhythmically. I've told you about my journey. If you've watched my intro video or if you've read my channel description, I am a drummer who is returning to the drum set after many, many years of hiatus due to personal issues. And so I'm fighting an uphill battle, as many of us are. And I like to say that this is a channel that's a combination of video lessons and also a video blog, or they even use the term vlog anymore. I don't think it seems like they tried to make that a thing and it just didn't stick. But I'm documenting my own personal journey just the same as I'm also looking to teach these concepts to people as well, because I have all the knowledge upstairs from being a drummer for so long. It's just that physically I need to get back into shape and to get that brain-body connection going on. And so this is my journey. And so I want to take this journey with everybody. So these exercises are designed to get you moving, get you flowing, get that blood going, get those muscles developed, developing a relaxed feel. And I found that adapting the four, these are all in 4/4, so the 4-beat patterns into fills. We've played them as independence exercises to isolate a limb. Now we can play some of these as fills, that is to get us around the kit. The very first and most basic way we want to do this is to assign a different surface, meaning your snare drum, tom, etc. Some people are playing other things. You maybe want to include a wood block. I don't know. Okay. Maybe you're playing on buckets. I don't know what you're playing. So I don't want to just say like, oh yeah, you play this on the tom, play this on surfaces. So I'm playing on 4 surfaces because I have 4 beats. Now, my current configuration is a 6-piece kit, snare drum, of course, 2 rack toms and 2 floor toms. My jazz kit is a snare drum, 1 rack tom, 1 floor tom, what we would call 1 up, 1 down, just like this kit is 2 up, 2 down. Maybe you've got a Buddy Rich / John Bonham configuration where you've got 1 rack tom and 2 floor toms, 1 up, 2 down. Or maybe just like with my jazz kit, you've got a 1 up, 1 down, 4-piece setup. Now, that being the case, if you have a 4-piece setup, that means that you don't have 4 surfaces to play with your sticks. You only have 3. So we got to do a little bit of adaptation on that. And I'll just discuss that in just a quick moment. If I'm assigning everything that happens on the first beat, so the 1 is going to be play on the snare drum. Everything on the 2, I play on the higher rack tom. Everything on the 3, I play on the lower rack tom. And everything on the 4, I'm playing on my floor tom, just for simplicity's sake. I'm ignoring my second lower floor tom for these exercises. If I wanted to, I could do the Bonham / Buddy Rich kit, and I could play 1 on the snare drum, 2 on the rack tom, 3 on the higher floor tom, and 4 on the lower floor tom. If that's your configuration, then that's what you're going to do. But if you have a 4-piece kit, what I would say is just double up one of the surfaces. So for example, if I were to have, say, play 1 and 2, beats 1 and 2 on the snare drum, and then beat 3 on the rack tom and beat 4 on the floor tom. Or I could play beat 1 on the snare, beat 2 on the mid tom, or the rack tom, I should say, in that configuration, and then beats 3 and 4 on the floor tom. Or I can do beats 2 and 3 on the rack tom. So 1 on the snare, 2 and 3 on the rack tom, and then 4 on the floor tom. Or to get a little bit more advanced, and we're going to be doing some later exercises that actually incorporate this on purpose. But if you want to, you could turn your bass drum into your 4th surface, and you can play your 4, everything that happens on the 4 beat on your bass drum. So how would these sound? Well, let's take a look. I'm in lesson 10 in the Syncopation book because I want to work with some 16th notes and some 8th notes. So the very first exercise you see has 16th notes on the first beat. Then it has 2/8 notes on the second beat, 2/8 notes on the third beat, and 2/8 notes on the fourth beat. Played on just the rhythm itself, it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and. Incidentally, if you're a Primus fan, if you know the album Frizzle Fry, if you don't know it, check it out. There's a tune called Too Many Puppies, and that is actually the main rhythm of Too Many Puppies. Kind of cool, right? So you understand there's a musical application to things, huh? Just because an exercise goes doesn't mean there isn't a musical application for it somewhere, and that's kind of the idea of what we're working with. So what I would do with this, if I'm assigning things to my current configuration, it would go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. All the ones on the snare, everything that happens on a 2 beat is on the high tom, then my mid tom, then my low. So. There you go. If I'm playing this, as I said before, on a 4-piece kit with just 3 surfaces to hit with the sticks, let's say if I doubled up and played the 1 and 2 on the snare drum, then the 3 on the rack tom and the 4 on the floor tom, it would sound like this. It would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. If I played the 2 and 3 on the rack tom, it would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. And then if I played on the snare or the bass drum, I'd be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. There you are. And that's it. Those are the exercises. So what are we going to do? Well, at first, don't do anything with your right foot or your left foot. Just leave your feet out of this. You just want to exercise the hands. And you just want to repeat these. So set your metronome. We always want to practice with a metronome. I'm not using one right now just because I want to talk and I'm just showing you what to do. So if I was playing exercise 1 and I were going to repeat that, it repeats 4 times on the page. So let's just pretend that we're playing it on the page and we're just repeating it. And we would go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. Notice I'm relaxing. I'm not doing any sort of accent pattern. I'm not tensing up. I'm just moving around. I want to try to play into the center of each drum. I don't want to get sloppy. I have this tendency to get sloppy. A lot of us do. This is an opportunity. Your practice opportunity is always your time to do things right. And that means doing it at a tempo that's comfortable and that allows you to do things right. I'm going to repeat a Dr. John Throwdown, Dr. John Wooten. I'm sure he's not watching, but hello, shout out, credit. Big credit for this one. He talks about people asking about how to develop speed. And it's about the paradiddle. If you watch the paradiddle video, I think it's one of the Vic Firth videos that he did a few years back. People ask, how do you do paradiddles fast? And Wooten says like this. And they're like, well, John, that wasn't fast. And he's like, well, that's the whole point. You're learning mechanics. You're learning to relax. That's how you develop speed. So that same principle, I just want to throw that out there. That same principle is going to apply to these fill-in exercises. Don't try to rush them. You're not trying to be fancy. You're not trying to be Neil Peart right now. You're just exercising and getting your muscles going and getting your muscle memory and your beat, your ability to stay on the beat train. That's what the metronome is for. So then the next exercise 2, that has the 2/8 notes on the snare drum. The 16th notes are on the second beat, so they're going to be played on your higher tom. And then, of course, more 1/8 notes on the lower rack tom and the floor tom. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And you'll repeat that exercise all the way through. And you'll go down the page, and then maybe if you want to, you can go back up and mix it up a little bit. Maybe do 1 bar of exercise 1, 1 bar of exercise 2, 1 bar of exercise 3. How you split that up, man, that's up to you. But that's the first step, is just playing it strictly with the hands. no feet involved, nothing else, just straight through. The next step is to start to establish some usage of the bass drum and the hi-hat, the feet that go along with these exercises. Now, the most basic and simple way to approach this is going back to the rock and roll, the original simple rock and roll beat from my 4x4 principle. The first idiom is rock and roll, and it's so the 1 and the 3 on the bass drum, 2 and the 4 on the snare drum, or if I'm riding, then I have 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, which is what's important here. This is boom tap. Take it away with just the feet. So you want to play this pattern while you're doing your fills. So 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E. Now let's do exercise 2. That's one way to do it. The next way to do it would be just the same as we're going through the variants. If you go back to the rock idiom that we discussed on the 4x4 principle, the next variant is 4 on the floor with the bass drum. So you're going to play all the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing with the exercises, right? 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. Same thing all the way through. 4 on the floor on the bass drum. And then if you remember back, the next one would be playing quarter notes on the hi-hat. So if I were to go back to the original bass drum pattern of just 1 and 3 on the bass drum and playing quarter notes on the hi-hat, now I've got this. Keep forgetting my hi-hat. And then lastly is playing 4 on the floor with both feet, bass drum and hi-hat together. Of course, I'm just playing the first exercise. You're going to play all the way through the different exercises. So that's the next way to do it, is to start to involve the feet. The final level is to play some time and then treat these as fills. So what I would say is maybe, for example, if you want to impersonate how music works, how common music works, the verse, chorus type of thing. In a verse, you're going to have 4 bars, and then you're going to maybe change key or go to the verse again, or it repeats. And we all know that pattern, especially if you're playing a music that's based on the blues progression, you're playing, rock and roll, popular music styles. You're used to that 4 bars and then either a repeat or a change to a different section of the song. Anytime you see a chart, you might see that, 4 bars of time, just play 4 bars of time and then a little fill somewhere in that 4th bar. Well, to impersonate that, you would play 3 bars of time and then 1 bar of the fill and then start in again. So maybe I would do something where I'm going to play some basic rock and roll time, just idiom 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now here's my 3rd bar. So my 4th is going to be 2, 3, 4. That's one way to practice it. Another way to practice it would be to play just one bar of time, or play 2 bars at a time, 2 bars of fill, 1 bar of time, 3 bars of fill. And of course, there's no rule that says that you can't play, 5 bars at a time and then 6 bars of fill, or just 1 bar at a time, 1 bar of fill, back and forth. And you can mix and match it. You're not playing to a song right now. You're not backing up a band. You're just getting yourself going. So you can really just willy-nilly this if you want to. There's no rule that says you must strictly follow a certain thing. However, that being said, there is a purpose to trying to follow structured patterns and trying to make yourself aware of how many times I've played something. So that's why you're going to see a lot of drummers, and you see just me doing it right there. I'm counting my bars. So I know I'm in the 3rd bar. And I know if I'm going to enter the 4th bar, okay, fill, or if I don't fill, I still know I'm coming back again to that 1st bar if I'm doing 4 bars in a row. Not all music follows that structure, though. Some music has 6 bars and then 2 bars of something. And there's no rules. It's creativity. It's art. But if I'm going to follow that principle of playing 4 bars or 3 bars of time and then 1 bar of fill, then I can do it with the same exercise again and again. Or I could do it where every time I come to the fill, I play the next exercise going down the page. I don't like to give assignments in structure. As you can see, I'm just coming up with all kinds of suggestions off the top of my head. I just like to throw things out there, see what sticks to the wall, see what you enjoy. So just for fun, sorry. The next principle, of course, is deciding what you're going to do with your bass drum and your hi-hat as you do your fills. I don't even recall what I did when I was playing the examples. I don't know if I played anything or if I did my 1 and 2, 3 and 4. But you want to try to get into the habit when you're playing musically of trying to keep your bass drum and your hi-hat doing something while you're doing fills. There's a million options for what you can do with that. It all depends on the musical context, the piece that you're trying to play, and the feel that you're trying to create, the continuity you're trying to keep through your fills. But that's something that you want to work on, because when you drop out, so if you're like playing some time, you see how it really interrupts because you got this flow going. Pop, pop. Suddenly this back to the hi-hat again, the bass drum comes back in. Where the hell were they when I was doing those fills? So try to get in the habit of playing a bass drum and a hi-hat through your fills. Has less interruption to it. And it's especially important when you're playing repeated fills. So let's say you're doing something where you're playing 2 bars of time and then 2 bars of fill. Listen to what happens if I just don't play the bass drum and snare drum. Kind of loses itself. Now listen when I play with some continuity in my bass drum and my hi-hat. Do the 8th notes on the hi-hat, or the quarter notes on the hi-hat. Okay. You can up that even more by playing 8th notes on the hi-hat, and that might be a little bit busy. You might be getting some like John Bonham, some of his live Moby Dick stuff where he's really going with that hi-hat. So, right. Options, plenty of them. But that's the exercise. That's the idea. Developing some fill patterns using stuff in syncopation. And some of these are going to sound more musical to you than others. So maybe you get some ideas like, oh, I like that one. I'm going to use that one musically. And there are others where it's like, that just sounds silly. But that's the idea behind using these exercises to come up with some very simple fill patterns. The next steps, I'm just going to leave you with the next steps. The next steps can be to assign different surfaces to different beats to get different combinations, different melodic type of things. So maybe you want to play beat 1 on your tom, and then beat 2 on your snare drum, and then beat 3 on a different tom, and beat 4 on another tom, or so forth and so on. So maybe I want to go 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 and, all right, or 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and. There's a million combinations that I shouldn't say a million, but there's X number of combinations that you can do just by assigning a different beat between 1, 2, 3, and 4 to a different surface. So whatever falls on beat 2, I play on this surface. Whatever falls on beat 3, I play on that surface. And on and on and on. And so you can come up with different fill patterns, different melodic patterns. So that leaves probably just the last word, which is about sticking. When I'm doing these simple descending patterns, these very beginning, rudimentary, starting from the top, I'm leading with my right hand. And the reason why isn't because it's always good to lead with the right hand. It's not. It's you want to learn to lead with both hands. But because I'm doing patterns that are descending, because I'm a right-handed drummer, so my stuff goes from highest to lowest from my right over, from my left to my right. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, right? Or 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay? The only time I'm coming over to my left is after I come off of the floor tom. That could be a little bit difficult sometimes. If you're finishing on 16th notes on the floor tom, right? You got to come up. That's the only time that there's any really a challenge with leading with the right hand, because you are coming from right to left at this point. Whereas if you're playing upwards, if you're going from the floor tom up the rack toms and then to the snare drum, then you want to lead with the left hand. It's as simple as that. When you're doing combinations of things, going back and forth, you got to come up with different sticking patterns that allow you to move through. That's why people do, that's why cross hand patterns. All right, you'll work on those at some point. That's why those even exist. I mean, they look fancy. Yeah, you look cool doing it, but truthfully, it's comes from practicality, because when you're doing a pattern where you want to go from one tom to another, that I just love doing this. It's just fun to do. But that's all just from practicality. There's crossing. That's, just because you have to. All right, so I've talked a whole bunch, as I always do. That's probably my signature aspect of my personality, is that I don't shut the hell up when I've said everything that needs to be said. So that being said, get on there, okay? Practice these patterns, and then we can work on some other stuff later. Have fun.